Okay, guys, so welcome back. And so today is the fifth session of data analysis with Python. And till now, I think we learned about fundamentals. Okay, so fundamentals of Python, try to talk about the data structures and the functions, then if else conditions, all those things. And then I think then we talked about the NumPy. And in a yesterday session, I talked about the pandas. But yes, as I told you, that pandas is basically a big chapter, and inside a pandas we have a lot of concepts and a lot of basically operations and functions which we need to which we need to cover, which we can't cover maybe in just a single session. So definitely we need at least a two session. I need at least two session to cover pandas. So that's why I basically changed the name here. Okay, so I just changed the name here as pandas. Okay, because in actuality, so this notebook is inside this notebook, so there is a concept of day 4 and day 5, okay, all together. So definitely I just changed the name of the notebook, and I just try to give you this notebook in a description box. You all know that after the live session, the recording is all is always basically uploaded on a YouTube. So in the description book, in the description, you get this notebook and all the files which is associated with it. I think we are working on one CSV file, a tightening data set. So this tightening data set is also available to you guys. Okay, so let's start, and I think just with a quick reason we can basically try to cover today's topic, because today I think so today I definitely going to cover up pandas. Okay, so maybe it can take 5 or 10 minutes time, or maybe it can cover on time. Okay, so but yes, we should basically try, we should complete the pandas in a today's session itself. Okay, so okay, someone fine. So now, so yes, I try to import a NumPy also, and then I think you all able to understand. Okay, so how you can basically read a data set, and then how you can basically check the above 5 rows, then how you can check below 5 rows, then how you can basically check the shape of the data. Okay, how you can access a single column from a data set, how you can access a multiple column from a data set. Okay, then describe. Okay, so I think in a describe we take our time, and then I will try to basically discuss you that with the help of a describe function, what all things we are trying to basically check. Okay, so the mean, median, mode, and you can say the all the statistical thing. Okay, so all the descriptive statistics of my data set, I can try to check with the describe function. Okay, so fine, guys, and then we basically trying to cover that how we can basically drop maybe one column, or how you can drop maybe a multiple columns altogether, how you can create one column by ourselves. Okay, so how you can how we can create a new column. Okay, so that is what I think we are trying to cover in yesterday's session. Now, so today I'm going to basically start with how you can create your own data frame. Okay, so definitely, as I told you that you can create your own data frame. So how you can basically create your own data frame. So for that purpose, I just try to create a matrix first on the first place, and then try to create my own data frame with my own index values and with my own column name. Okay, so you know that by default the index value is 0, 1, 2, 3, 4 always, and then if there is a sub column name is given, then it is fine. Otherwise, it takes your first value as a column name. Okay, so I try to define my own column name, and I try to define my own index name, and then with those things I try to basically create a data frame. Fine, guys. So I just try to create a one matrix with the help with the help of np dot random dot rand end. And I think you all know the basically a signature of np dot random dot rand end. So you first need to give the basically range. Okay, so from where to here you actually want the value, and then you need to give the shape of the matrix. Okay, so shape of the matrix, I take a shape of the matrix is nothing but a 5 cross 4, and I just try to basically take a range from 1 to 25. Now if I check the S, yes, so my matrix is created. Now I just I can put this whole matrix inside a data frame. So how I can basically do this thing? So you can do this thing. A signature is very simple. So you can create any kind of data frame in this way. So pd dot data frame. Okay, so pd dot data frame and just put this s inside this data frame. Now if you check d, yes, so now it becomes a data frame. Okay, so earlier, so if you check s, so s is nothing but a, you know that s is nothing but an nd array, but now it becomes a data frame. Now your d is what? D is your basically a data frame. Now if you want to basically give a row, basically index name value and a column name, because by default it is 0 1 2 3 4. So if you want to give this, so you can give in this way. So index. Okay, so you can change the index value. So in place of none, just take a list and give your own index value. Okay, so maybe if I can, definitely I can give it in this way. Okay, so I can give an index value maybe in this way, and that is completely fine. Okay, so that is completely fine. There is no issue. So maybe if I can write a, so and I think how many values are there? So 0 1 2 3 4 means a 5 value I need to give for an index. So A, B, and then basically a C, then D, and then E. Okay. So these are the name of my indexes, and if I try to change the name of a columns, okay. So yes, I can do this thing again inside a list. I can give the name of a column. So maybe this thing. So W X, and then Y, and then Z. Okay, so yes, yeah, you are able to see that yes, your index name and your column name is basically changes. Okay, so your index name and column name is changes. Okay, so yeah, you are able to basically visualize this thing. So you are able to basically do this part in a much better way. Okay, and there is no issue. Okay, so fine. So now I think I get my data frame. Okay, so how? Okay, so now yeah, I can talk about maybe more of the things. Okay, so now I can talk about like different kinds of a function. Okay, so which I basically told you yesterday. So that in today's session I will going to maybe cover a different kind of functions. Okay, so which functions are basically left. So maybe I can talk about a lock and ilog function, and lock and ilog function is definitely a most important thing. So okay, so what is the difference between a lock and ilog function, and what do you mean by a lock and unlock function? So with the help of a lock and unlock function, you can basically access any row and any column inside a data frame. Okay, so in a data frame, you can access any row or maybe any column with the help of a lock and unlock function. Okay, and maybe a multiple rows and a multiple column you can access with the help of a lock and unlock function. Okay, so in a log function, you always need to give basically an index name or maybe a column name. Okay, so you can access maybe or maybe you can slice maybe rows or maybe a columns inside with the help of a log, but you should give the name. Okay, so maybe in this way. Okay, so all the values inside this in this row is basically yes, you are able to access it. Okay, so you are able to access it with the help of an index value. Maybe if you want to access maybe if you want to access still some okay, so maybe if you want to access two rows or maybe two columns, two rows altogether, so yes, I think you can access it. There is no issue. So in this way, you need to. So yes, you can basically access it. So A and B. Okay. So with the help of a log function, you can basically access basically a two rows. Okay. So A and B, you are able to access it. Fine. So guys, this is again a very simple concept. So with the help of a log function, you can access it. Now, if I check maybe some other thing, okay, so if I try to basically slice, okay, so maybe if I try to slice, and first on the very first place, if I try to maybe uh, try to access maybe a columns. Okay, so let me check whether I'm able to access the columns or not. No, I am not able to basically access the column. So none of the index or WX or D type object are in the index. Okay, so I can't access a column with a log function because it only try to access on basically what on a from the indexes. Okay, so if I want to access maybe a column also, okay, so maybe if I try to access a column also, so maybe I can access okay, so maybe if I try to access in this way, no, I'm not able to access a column. Fine. So how I can access a column? So I can access a column maybe with the help of a ilog function. Okay, so just let me give a one. Yeah. Okay, so it gives me a value. So one means what? One means 0 and 1. Okay, so so you are able to access any row or any column with the help of ilog function. But inside ilog function, you need to give what? You need to give a basic. You can access it with the help of a basically by default index value. Okay, so means a 0 1 2 means in a form of a number. Okay, so you need not to give basically a name. Okay, so like in this, okay, so suppose in a log function you are trying to do the same thing, so you are getting an error. Okay, you can't access in a log function, you can't access with a number. Okay, but in a ilog function you can access with a basically a number. Let me show you. So suppose if you want to access okay, so now so yes, I think you are able to understand. So in a log function you need you can access with the number, okay, with the index value. Okay, now if I how I can access, okay, so just you want to access a complete row. Okay, so you want to access a complete row, then after the comma just give a column which you want to access. So this is the zeroth column, this is the first column, this is the second column, this is the third column. Okay, so now if I want to access just x and y, so one, okay, so one and then is two. So if I want to access basically x and y, so 1 is to what? 1 is to 3. Okay, because upper bound is always extracted. Okay, so yes, you are able to access what? You are able to access x and y. Okay, maybe in this place also you want to make a slicing operation and you want to access maybe just two rows or maybe three rows. Okay, so yes, you can do it. I think you guys are able to understand that how you can basically do this kind of a job. Okay, so yes, B, C, and D, 1 is to 4, and then you are able to access basically columns also. Fine. So ilog is widely used, basically a function is widely used Python function whenever you are trying to access a multiple elements in a from a data set. Okay, so whenever you are trying to access, or maybe whenever you are in other words, I can simply say whenever you are trying to maybe perform a slicing operation. So whenever you are trying to perform a slicing operation, so at that point of a time, so whenever you are trying to perform a slicing operation, so at that point of a time, you can basically slice multiple elements, maybe a row from a row index and from a column index using a ilog function. Okay, and ilog function is basically a most important one. So like in this also, so maybe in a titanic data set. Okay, so at a time of a prediction. Okay, so at a time of a prediction, so what happens is, so you need to split your data set in two parts. Okay, so in one part you need to basically put all these features. Okay, so all these columns. Okay, so on through which you can make a prediction. Okay, and then you need to basically put this column, this survived column, on which you need to predict a value, on which you need to do a prediction. So you need to put this survived column in maybe a different variable. Okay, so you can basically separate your data set in two parts, maybe in X and Y. So in a Y part, you can basically you can put this survived column. Okay, so in a Y part, yes, you can put this survived column. So you can how you can do this? So you can put this thing with the help of a ilog function. So you can only write ilog, so titanic.ilog, and with the help of ilog function, you can basically access this value, and you can access maybe this value also. Okay, so here it is very simple. Here it is very simple. It is on the very first place, but maybe it is in between somewhere. Okay, so yes, you can use a slicing operation, and you can definitely by using a slicing operation, by using an ilog function, you are able to slice maybe from one place to the another place, or maybe you can access a multiple elements at a time. Okay, so this is what you can do with the help of a slicing operation, with the help of a ilog and a log function. Okay, now if I show you maybe a different kind of a functions. Okay, so there is one more function which is available inside a Pandas, that is called a reset index. Okay, so what do you mean by a reset index? Okay, so reset index means what? So reset index means it is trying to basically okay, so it is trying to change your index value as it replace your basically a index name with the default index name. Okay, so by default, what is the name of my index? So by default, the name of my index is nothing but a 0, 1, 2, 3, 4. Okay, so by default, my index name is nothing but a 0, 1, 2, 3, 4. Now I just try to replace it with the default index name. Okay, so okay, so by default, my index value is that. So suppose if I try to do this, yes. Okay, so you can see that yes, so it is try to replace your basically it is try to replace your index value. Okay, so your index name, what you have taken, with a default index with a default index values. Okay, now if I try to but yes, so you can see that both the values are simultaneously occur. Okay, so but both the values are simultaneously occur, so it can create a confusion. Okay, so definitely it can basically create a confusion. So how you can basically check this? Okay, so how you can basically remove one of the index value, and you can preserve only one index values. Okay, so you can do this with the help of so inside this you can use a function which is called a drop function, and you can put this drop function as true. So by default this drop is false, and you can use this drop as true. Okay, now yes, so your original the values the name which we have taken is basically removed, and now the new values has come. Okay, so this is what I mean by basically a reset index. Now if I try to basically check, if I try to check a D again, so you can see that but my D is not changed at all. Okay, so I tried to change basically an index value of D data set, but my D is not changed at all. Okay, so I think in yesterday's session we basically saw this thing, that why basically the changes are not become a permanent. Okay, so when you try to do this thing, so the changes are not become a permanent. Okay, so how you can basically make this change as a permanent? So for that purpose you need to do one thing. Okay, so here you can see that. So I think you already know that thing, so that there is something which is called an in place. Okay, so there is something which is called in place. So you can make this in place operator as a true. Okay, so in place of a false, you can replace it with a true. Fine. So now the change is become a permanent. Fine, guys. So I think till here, I think you all are able to understand basically these things, and these things are not basically a tough one. These things are, in my opinion, this is the simplest. These are the simple concepts. Okay. Now, if I do maybe some other thing. Okay. So D of maybe if I try to access maybe one single column. So D of Z. Yes. So yes, I can access maybe one single column with the help of that column name only. Fine. Now, if I try to do one thing, that I try to make this Z column as my index. Okay, so I can use this Z column as my index. Okay, so what I mean is, so my index value is now becomes 14, then 3, then 19, then 1, then 5. Okay, so that is what I mean. Okay, so now I want to basically I want to change my I want to set my index as 14, 3, 19, 1, and 5. And you can simply say that I want to set my index as whatever the value present inside a Z column. Okay, so fine guys, so yes, you can do this thing with the help of a set index function. Okay, so there is one function inside pandas, which is called a set index. So with the help of a set index function, you can do this thing. Okay, so now with the help of a set index, suppose I try to basically do this change, and you know that this change is not going to be permanent if I not use in place is equals to true. Okay, so I just tried to make that in place is equals to true because I want this change to be permanent. Okay, now if I check T, okay, so yes, I am able to see that this is become my index. Okay, so this is my index. Okay, so now if I want to access anything, okay, so suppose if I want to access any row, okay, and you all know that how I basically show you that how you can basically access any row. Okay, so now if you want to access any row, so at that point of a time you need to give if and suppose if you use a log function. Okay, so how you can access maybe any row? So you can access any row. So suppose if you want to access this row, so you can access this row with the help of by giving index value. Okay, so index value of this row is nothing but a 40. Okay, now if you try to check it, so okay, so it is giving me an error as basically key error as 14. Okay, so maybe if I try to check that what is basically a problem, what is an issue with this? Okay, fine. So, oh, fine. So I can't use this thing as directly because this is not my basically a column. So yes, now if I use the document, oh, d dot log. Yes, so yes, I am able to access the same. So it means what? It means my index values are basically changed, and I am able to basically set my index as a Z. Okay, I am able to replace my original index value with the values inside basically a Z column. Fine, guys. So yes, I think you all are able to understand this at least at this part. Okay, now if I'm basically trying to show you some more concepts. Okay, and some more important concepts. Okay, so let me take an example. So suppose I try to create again one data frame. Okay, so with the help of a pd dot data frame. Fine. So how I can, and you can create a data frame in a multiple ways. Okay. So like in a previous case, I just tried to create a data frame by with the help of a matrix. Now in this time, I can how I can basically create a data frame. So I try to create a data frame inside a dictionary. So let me create it. What we if we another 14 in the same line. Okay. Okay, so somebody asked me a question that what if, okay, so there is no issue. So it is trying to show you basically both the rows. Okay, so if you have maybe another 14 on the same line, so it is trying to show you basically both the rows. Okay, so it is just like so suppose in a Titanic data set. So suppose definitely it will not happen in a real life because in a real case data set you are getting a data set in this way. Okay, so you are definitely you are getting a data set in this way, and any kind of a data set. Okay, so in any kind of a data set, your definitely your column values are basically based upon what you are trying to achieve or what you are trying to basically predict. So definitely there is some name of your columns. Okay, so there definitely there is some names of your column. But in a row wise, in a row way, okay, so in place of a rows, so definitely there is a default index values also. Okay, so you will always find a default index values, but definitely in answer of your question, so if maybe if you have maybe a 214, okay, so suppose if you have 14 here, and maybe if you have a 14 here also, so yes, it is trying to show you basically both the values. Okay, so definitely there is no issue. So it will trying to show you a 21, 11, and 14, and then it tries to show you a 17, 16, and 22. Fine. So it tries to show you both the values. If three, so it tries to show you all the three values. Okay, so inside data, so how I can basically create a data frame. So just take a look. So maybe this is a value of my column, name of my column A. And inside this, if I try to basically put some values, so np.name, fine. Now, so this is my second column, and inside this, again, I want to put some values. So 5, and then np.name, and then maybe again np dot name. Okay, so I try to show you how to handle maybe a nan values. If you don't know maybe uh, anything maybe till now, so how you can handle maybe the nan values. Okay, so and how you can basically replace the nan values. Okay, so handle means what? So you can drop the nan values. That is a very easiest thing. Okay, so that is the easiest thing you can do with the nan values. But definitely there is another way also that will help you. Okay, so to deal with the nan values, so how basically you can use that kind of function. Fine guys, so I think if I try to show you the DF1, okay, so inside a DF1, so this is the column I am able to create. So this is the data frame which I am trying to create. Okay, now if I try to basically drop a null values, okay, so if I try to drop a null values, so how I can basically drop all the null values, okay, so so there is one function which is available inside maybe a pandas, so that is nothing but a drop na. Okay, so df1 dot a drop na, and now if I try to basically use a drop na function, so I'm able to create. Okay, so so drop na. So what drop na does is, so wherever is it sees basically na and values. Okay, so so it tries to check a column wise. Okay, so in which column? So in which column it is trying to check? So it is trying to check whether there is a any null values inside that particular row or maybe particular column or not. Okay, so I think in all the in every row there is some null values. Okay, so it tries to basically drop all basically all the values. Okay, so it tries to drop basically a complete row if it finds maybe if it finds a single and null values inside that particular row. Okay, so how I can basically change this thing. So okay, so by default x is equals to 0. So I think you all know that x is equals to 0 means what? X is equals to 0 means row. Okay, I can basically check this thing for a column also. Okay, so that is more convenient. Okay, so I think in a case of a data set, in a case of a real life data set, checking a column for a null values is more convenient, because suppose like in our data set, in a titanic data set, there is only one column, each column, where we have a null values. Okay, so suppose if I want to drop basically a null values from each column. Okay, so I try to drop, maybe I use by using a drop na function, I try to drop maybe that particular column. Okay, so so try to drop that particular column wherever there is a null value. So in that particular case, so suppose if I consider a row, so I'm able to I'm so with that I think we are end of dropping all the rows where there is any null values inside each column. Okay, so there is nothing so definitely that is not we want. Okay, so for that purpose, we always try to use a drop na function with the with along with the column. Okay, so that is fine. That is fine. This is a dummy data set which I am trying to take, and through which I am trying to basically give you show you that how you can basically drop maybe null values. So there is one function which is called a thresh. Okay, so now try to check the definition of a thresh. Okay, so thresh is required that many not null values. Okay, so here thresh is null. Okay, so it requires that many not null values. So what do you mean by this? What do you mean by this? That it requires that many not null values. So suppose if I change this thresh as1, okay, so it tries to check whether in a particular row if there is any not null values or not. Okay, not null means what? So if there is any number or not, or maybe all the rows are basically a null values. So if there is single not null values, okay, so if there is single not null values inside basically a row, so it is not going to drop that particular row. Okay, so inside this row there is all the values are null. Okay, so it only tries to drop this row, and these two rows are basically preserved. Okay, because there is at least one values which is not null. Okay, now if I change this thresh to 2, okay, so it tries to check whether there is basically at least if there is at least two not null values. Okay, so if there is maybe a two not null values present inside rows, so yes, it is not going to drop, otherwise it is going to drop that particular row. Okay, so I think it is going to drop this first basically this row and this row, because in basically a zeros row you have a two not null values. Fine. Now I think now you are able to understand. So if I take a value as 3, so it is going to drop all the values. Fine. So this is what I mean by basically a thresh function. This is a meaning of a drop any function. Fine. Now I don't I want to show you something more. That is why I am not I didn't make this change as a permanent, because if I make this change permanent, so I again need to basically copy and paste at this data frame and then create a data frame. Okay, so definitely I don't want that, because I think you all know that there is one more thing available in place. Okay, so if I use in place equals to true, so this change become permanent, but I don't want that. Okay, so now so this is a function, this is a drop any function. So with the help of a drop any function, I'm able to drop maybe basically a null values. Now with the help, so how I can basically so fine. Now, if I basically I don't want to drop that NA values, but I want to basically fill that NaN values with some number. Okay, so I want to fill that NaN values with some number. So for that purpose, you have a function called fill NA. Okay, so with the help of a fill NA, you can fill a null values with some number, or maybe with maybe anything. Okay, so this is called this particular thing is called an imputation. Okay, so you are trying to impute basically you are trying to impute a null values with some another values. Okay, so maybe if I take a 5 over here, yes, so you can see that in every place where there is a null value, so you are trying to replace that null values with a 5. Okay, so you are able to replace that null values with the 5. Okay, so in the same way you can replace this null value with any value. Okay, so with any kind of a value. So maybe if you try to maybe so df1 dot fill NA, and suppose if I try to basically fill this null values with the mean of some basically with the mean of maybe any column. Okay, so maybe mean of this column. Okay, so mean of this column is what? So I have 1, I have 2, so 2 plus 1 divided by basically, so 2 plus 1 is what? 2 plus 1 is 3, so 3 divided by 2 is what? 1.5. Okay, so this is a mean. Okay, so mean is nothing but an average. So this is the way to find average. Okay, so df of maybe a, so df of my column a, and I just take the mean of this particular column. Okay, so yes, wherever you have a null value, so you are able to basically fill that null values with a 1.5, because 1.5 is a mean of that basically a mean of that mean of this particular values 1 and 2. Fine. So yes, guys, I think you are able to understand. So this is the meaning of this. In this way, you are able to basically fill the null values. Okay, so yes, you can do two things. Okay, so you can definitely drop maybe a null values. So whenever you find a null values, so you can find a two kind of approach. Okay, you can basically do two kind of approach. So maybe you can drop that null values, or maybe you can basically fill that null values. Fine. So uh, fine. Now if I try to show you some more concepts. Okay, now this concept is very much important, and this concept is a little bit a tricky one also. And I think you need to focus more to understand this concept. Okay, so this concept is nothing but a group by operation. So there is an operation inside basically a Python, which is called a group by function. Okay. So suppose again I want to create a data frame. So I need to create a data frame for this. Okay, so maybe a DF. So DF is basically a name of my data frame. Fine. So how I can basically create a data frame? Okay, so with a dictionary. So I just need maybe a columns. Okay, so first column is name. So I just took some names. So Shivam, and then maybe a Shivam again, then a Singh, then a Dheeraj, okay, then a Dheeraj, and then maybe okay, fine. So I just took seven names. Now, if I took another column, income. So I just try to maybe take some income values. So fine. Okay. So this is maybe the income, and maybe I took just the third column, company. Okay, so inside this I have maybe another thing. So maybe skills, PE, techniques. Okay, so 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. I need a two more name. Okay, fine. So a DBS and then expert. Okay, so where there is maybe okay, fine. Okay, so now if I check my data frame, so yeah, it is fine. Okay, so this is completely fine. So I am able to okay, so this is basically a single, so this is not a data frame, this is a dictionary, and I can convert this thing into a data frame. Okay, so there is no doubt, definitely I can convert this thing into a data frame. So pd dot data frame, and I can write it as a pd dot data frame and a df. Now, okay, so what happened? Arrays must be all same length. Okay, so there is maybe some issue. Okay, so let me check whether length is same or not. Okay, so 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, and 7. Then 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. Okay, so let's move on. Now I think, yeah, it is fine. Okay, so this is basically a data frame which I am able to create. Okay, so this is what I am trying to create, and yes, I am able to create this kind of a data frame. Okay, so fine guys, now just take a look of a group by function and just trying to basically visualize, just trying to identify what a group by function is trying to perform. Okay, so df1 dot group by. Okay, so df1 dot group by, and inside a group by, if I take maybe name. Yes, so it creates a function that yes, I'm able to basically perform a group by function. So this is simply basically okay. So this is fine. This is just yes function I'm able to create now. So along with the name, okay. So I am trying to make a group by function with the name. Okay, so group by is what? So group by, you can try to perform a group by function along with the name, along with the income, maybe along with any one of the column. Okay, so because I have a multiple, I have a repeated name. Okay, so Shivam is repeated, Singh is repeated, Dheeraj is repeated, and Sanjeev come just for the one time. Okay, so fine. So I make a repetition in a name, and I basically I intentionally make this kind of repetition so that you guys are able to understand. Okay, so I just perform a sum operation. Okay, so sum means what? So sum is kind of a numerical operation, and it is only so I am able only able to perform a sum operation on what? On a basically on a income column, because income is a column, income is the only column which is having a numerical values. Okay, so yes, I'm able to perform a summation operation. So Dheeraj is basically, so 380 plus 470 is 850. Then Sanjeev is 500. Shivam 400 plus 500 is 900, and then Singh 800. Okay, so yes, I'm able to I'm able to do this thing. So, but and I can do maybe another kind of a job also. So maybe a mean. So I think you are able to find out the mean. So mean is nothing but a 400 plus 500 divided by 2 is nothing but a 900. Okay, so sorry, 400 plus 500 divided by 2 is nothing but a 450. Okay, so yes, so this is a mean, fine. So this is a mean of all the values. So 425 is the mean value of Dheeraj, 500 is the mean value of Sanju, and 450 is the mean value of Shivam, and the 450 is a mean value of what? Is a mean value of basically basically a sig. Fine. Now, if I try to do another thing, okay, so maybe if I try to perform another kind of a job, and here yes, I can tell you that this is nothing but a index values. Okay, so Dheeraj is maybe the index, and then Sanju is also index, then Shivam is also index, and then Singh is also an index. Okay, so these are all the index, but definitely I will try to show you this thing in some another way. Okay, so then only you can understand the hierarchy. Okay, so just do one thing, because I think you are able to understand basically a basic thing. Okay, so maybe you can perform another thing, another kind of operation. So maybe if you're trying to perform a describe. Yes, so yes, you are able to. So I just want to tell you that this is nothing but what? This is nothing but so here you are able to show that this is a second level of hierarchy. Okay, so this is a second level of hierarchy. Let me show you this thing, that how I am able to basically say this thing, that this is a second level of hierarchy. Okay, so df2 is equals to df1 dot group by, and inside a group by function, so I just took a name and then perform a describe. Now if I check a df, okay, so yes, I am able to draw the same thing. Yes, so this is the same thing I am able to draw, and just try to make it as a mean itself. Don't, because it, then you are able to so the things are not basically going to be complex. Okay, so this is my df2. Now if so, and I told you that this is nothing but an index values. Okay, so Dheeraj is a basically index value, Sanju is the index name, and the Shivam is the index name, and the string is the index name. Okay, so if you use a log function, if you are trying to access maybe any row, so you can access with this basically index name. Okay, definitely there is no issue. But and now this is the second level of hierarchy. So suppose if you want to access any columns, and these are all what? These are nothing but a columns. Okay. Now this all becomes a column, and and I can show you. So suppose if you want to access maybe any column, like suppose if you want to access a 425, 500, 450, and 440. Okay. So maybe this particular column. If I type talking about a mean. Okay. So how you can access it? So you can access in this way, because this is the second level of hierarchy. So you need to write income on the very first place, because all this thing is inside an income. Okay, so anything you want to access, maybe if you want to access account, if you want to access a mean, anything. Okay, and then you can write a name of a column. Okay, yes, you are able to access it. Fine, and you can definitely think that this is nothing but an index values. Fine. So I can show you this thing. So suppose so df2 dot a log function. Okay. So if I use a log function, and then basically if I try to write this thing, maybe anything, maybe a Shivam. Okay. So if I just try to see the Shivam, yes. So with the help of a Shivam, I am able to see the count, then mean, then a standard deviation, then a minimum, a 25th percentile, 50th percentile, 75th percentile, and a maximum value. Okay, yes, we are able to see this. Fine. So this is a meaning of a group by function. Now, if I want to so suppose if I store this thing and just try to create a third level of hierarchy. Okay, so just try to store this thing in a df3. Okay, now if I take a look. Okay, so now this is basically this is the whole information about the Shivam. Fine. Now if I want to access so from here, suppose so from here if I want to access a mean. Okay, so now my mean is also become what? My mean is also become an index. Okay, so in this scenario, so if for a df3, okay, so for a df3 for this data frame, my mean is also become what? My mean is also become a index. Okay, so I'll just show you that a df3 dot a log. Okay, then what I need to give? I need to give an income, and then again if I use a log function, and then I give a what? I just try to access a mean. Yes. So my mean is what? My mean is 450. Yes, I'm able to access it. Okay. So the hierarchy is basically increases, and now if I want to basically create a data frame of this. Okay. So maybe if I want to create a data frame of this, maybe a df3. Okay. So suppose if I want to if I want to basically place all those things. Okay. So all this are basically a df1 inside a data frame. Okay, so yes, I can do this thing. Okay, fine. And okay, so let me do it for you so that you guys can understand. Okay, so inside a df4, if I want to do this thing, so pd dot a data frame. Inside this, if I put this a df1 dot group by, and then if I try to describe, so I can consider that you know that what is an outcome. So df dot describe, if I basically trying to perform here, so I'm getting this thing. Okay, so I'm getting this thing, and if I I'm getting what I'm if I use a describe function, so I'm getting this thing. Okay, so this is the thing I'm getting, and now if I try to put this thing inside a data frame. Okay, so now if I try to put this thing inside a data frame. Okay, and I want to access the information of only the Shivam. Okay, so I want to access the information of only this rows, and I want to put this row, this particular row. Okay, so this particular row of a Shivam inside a data frame. So yes, I can do that job. Okay, so with the help of a log function, I can basically, because Shivam is what? Shivam is now a data is a kind of so Shivam is the name of an index. Okay, so now Shivam becomes a name of an index. So yes, I can do this thing. So if I just try to access a df4. Okay, so this is what basically data frame. So this is now, so now this becomes a data frame. Okay, so now this becomes a data frame. Fine, and yes, you can show this thing. You can basically show this thing in this way also, and more of it. Yeah, fine. So this is what basically a meaning of a group by function, and with the help of a group by function, you can basically perform this kind of a job. Okay, and definitely inside this, if you want to access maybe anything, so a df4 dot Okay, so just let me do this thing. So DF4, and inside a DF4, maybe if you want to access anything. So yes, you know, this is the second level of a hierarchy. So you need to provide a income, and then you need to provide a standard deviation. Okay. So yes, you can get a standard deviation of what? Standard deviation of a income of a Shiva. Fine, guys. So I think till here everyone is able to understand, and I think this is a tricky concept. So if anyone having any kind of a doubt in this group by function, so yes, you guys can ask me that if anywhere having any kind of a doubt. Okay, so you just okay, guys. So just take a break of 1 minute, and if anyone having any kind of a doubt, so you can write your doubt in a chat box, or maybe you can also raise your hand and ask your query. Okay, guys. So I think no one have any kind of a query. So yes, I can proceed. And there is okay. So I think so. Yes, we are not basically okay. So it will not take a lot of time, and we can finish it within our time span itself. Okay. So now I am going to basically tell you some another concept. Okay. So how you can basically concatenate two data frame. Okay. So definitely. So you have maybe definitely in most of the places. So maybe you have multiple data frames, and you need to basically concat your data set or maybe your data frames, and definitely somewhere you need to basically merge your data frame. Okay, so how you can basically combine two data frame. Okay, so in a simple sense I can basically tell you that how you can basically combine your two data frames. Okay, so again if I yeah, t1. Okay, so now if I try to create a data frame, so pd dot data frame, and suppose I try to create in this way. So A, and inside this, so suppose I'm having a some value. So 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. Now, so suppose I'm having a B. So 4, 6, 7. Okay, now I'm having a C. Okay, so inside a C again, suppose I'm having some values. Okay, fine. And then I just give an index name because this is the important one. So index is nothing but, so inside a list if I give an index. Okay, so 1, 2, 3, 4, and 5. Okay, so 0, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, and I think, yeah, fine. Okay, what is an error? Oh, fine. So I need to close this thing because this thing is completed. And then after closing this part, I can. Okay, so this is my first data frame. Now, if I want to create a second data frame, because I know multiple data frames, I want to concatenate multiple data frames. Okay, so inside there, suppose I just take same values. There is nothing and no issue. If I go with the same values, I just try to change basically index names. Okay, so maybe I can give an index name as okay, so 6, 7, 8, 9, and 10. Okay, so this is the name of my indexes. Fine, for a D2. Yeah, this is completely fine. Now, I think yes, so I am able to create a data frame 1 and then I am able to create a data frame 2. And then in the same way, if I try to create a data frame 3 and in a data frame 3, I just try to check, try to put some values common. Okay. So I have three data frames, D1, D2, and D3. Now, if I try to join this, if I try to basically concat this, basically a three data frame. Okay, so df dot concat. And so df dot concat, so x is equals to 0. So it is try to concat basically my data frames are row wise. Okay, so it is try to concat my data frame row wise. So I just give the name of my data frame. So D1, D2, and D3. Yes, so yes, I'm able to concatenate my data frames because I'm trying to basically concat my data set row wise, and I think there is no issue. So definitely with the in a row wise, I'm easily able to concatenate my data sets, and all the values are basically available, and I'm able to visualize my data set in a much beautiful way. Fine. Now, if I try to concatenate this thing in a column wise, okay, so I am able to concatenate my data set in a row wise manner. Now, if I try to concatenate my data set in a column wise manner, okay, so someone can guess that what may be the possible outcome if I try to concatenate my data set in a column wise manner. Okay, so you are able to see that if you're trying to basically concatenate your data set in a column-wise manner, so yes, you are able to basically concat because there is no issue. So it is not giving you any kind of a complaint that why you are doing this kind of a job or why you are doing so. So it is not giving you any kind of a complaint. But yes, so definitely if it not found any value, okay, so suppose if it not found any value in this place, so it will give you what? It will give you a nan. Okay, so you all know that you have a values from 1 to 5, then after that you don't have any values for 1, 2, 3, 4, and 5 index number, so you are getting a nan. Okay, so in the same way you are getting a nan in this place, you are getting a nan in this place. Fine. So this is basically a way to concatenate a two data frame. You can definitely concatenate maybe on your choice. So you can concatenate on basically a row on the basis of a rows, and definitely you can coordinate on the on concatenate on the basis of columns. There is no issue. But yes, when you don't have any values for that index number or for that particular index name, so you are getting what? You are getting a nan. Fine, guys. So now if I basically move further and then try to look at what. So now if I basically move further and try to look at basically a merging operation. So how you can basically, so this is so in a similar way, okay, so in a similar way, so just like you are trying to basically make a concatenation operation, so just like you are trying to concatenate two data frames, so I think in a similar way you can basically merge two data frames, okay, or maybe a three data frames altogether. So how you can basically do this thing? No, I think two data frames. Okay, guys. So inside this, I'm trying to create a data frame again. Now, if I give some value, so key one. Okay, so inside a key one, I just trying to basically store some things. Okay, so inside this particular list, so a K0, okay, then a K1, then a K2, and then a K3, fine. So these are all the values which is available inside this. Now, so this is what this is maybe my column one. This is the second column. So inside a second column, I just give some numbers. Fine. Then there is a third column. Again, I give maybe some numbers. Okay. So I think yes, this is my one data frame. Now, if I am trying to create a second data frame. Okay, so now if I'm trying to create maybe a second data frame, and I just try to keep some value as it is, and but I try to basically change some of the values. Okay, fine. There is it. I can do. And then inside an x and y, you can make a change. Okay. Fine. Okay. So I have basically a two data frame. Okay, so L and R. Fine. So now if I try to basically merge this two data frame, okay, so pg dot merge. So this is a left. Basically, this is a one data frame L, and this is the second data frame R, and then I try to basically merge maybe these two data frame. Okay, so I'm getting an answer as basically K0, 2, and 7. Okay, so just a single data set. Okay, so maybe if I'm trying to check. Okay, so K0 is same. Okay, so wherever basically your key is same. Okay, so wherever basically your key is same, it is trying to merge on the basis of that. Okay, so K0 and then K0, and I think you have a K1. Fine, you have a K2 also. Yeah, I have a K2 also. Okay, let me do this thing. So K0 is fine, and let me just not change this value. So 14, let me take it as 14. Yeah, Okay, so there will be. Okay, so fine. I think there is no basically issue with this, with that. Okay. Okay, so in a merge operation, so you can find there is maybe one thing. Okay, so you can find there is one attribute, how. Okay, so how is basically inner by default. So there are basically four kinds of a merge operation which is present. So I think in our childhood we basically learn about the Venn diagram. Okay, so everyone in the mathematics, so everyone basically learn about a set, and inside that set you all able to basically learn about a Venn diagram. Okay, so now just if I try to basically show you that Venn diagram, so I think you all remember that Venn diagram. So there are basically four kinds of a merge operation which is available. Okay, so suppose this is my A and B, then this is what this is again a A and B. Okay, and this is again a and B. Okay, and then this is again A and B. Fine. So this is what we call a inner join. Okay, so whenever you're basically both the where basically your both the data set. Okay, so if there is some similarity in your both the data set. Okay, so it is trying to merge those two data set. Okay, so you are able to see only those data set, only basically those columns, and only those data set where your columns are basically what your columns is basically the same. Okay, so this is a meaning of an inner join. Okay, so this is what we call an inner join. Okay, now then there is one thing which is called a left join. So what happens inside a left join, so it is trying to basically show you all the values, all basically a key of what a left join. And then wherever there is a similarity, wherever there is some values inside, so wherever that same key is present in a B, so that value is basically showing you. Otherwise, it will show you the NaN. Okay, so otherwise you can show you the it will show you the NaN values. Okay, so is the similar thing happens with the right join. Okay, so the similar thing is happened with what? So similar thing is happened with the right join also. Okay, and then there is last type of a join is called an outer join. So in an outer join, it is trying to basically join on this basis. Okay, so it tries to basically show you all the values. So all the keys it is trying to show you, and wherever there is a similarity, so that is fine. And if there is no similarity, so at that point of time, it will show you what? It will show you NaN. Fine. So now if I try to basically show you a different kind of a join, so I think yes, you are able to understand in that way. So by default, the join is what? Inner. Okay, so it is able to you are able to basically join only where there is basically values are similar. Now if I try to maybe perform a left join. Okay, so all the values inside this is basically showing you, and then you know that there is so two place. Okay, so it is trying to so you are trying to join on the basis of a left data set. Okay, so yes, you are trying to join what. Okay, I think you need to mention two more things. Otherwise, it is not giving you the correct value. So there is two more things is available: a right on and a left on. So let's try to mention this both the things. So I think left on is what? I think our left on is nothing but maybe if I take it as if I take it as y, maybe there is some change. Yeah, it is showing you something different. It is showing all basically a complete data set with maybe yeah. So wherever there is a similarity, so that is fine. Otherwise, it will show you what? It will show you basically a NaN values. So maybe if I try to do the same thing with the lab, yeah. So it will okay. So okay, fine. So there is no similarity. Okay, fine. So there is no similarity in basically in this place. Okay, so yeah. Okay, fine, fine. Okay, so now I basically I understand the condition. So you have a K0, then okay. So in this place, these two are similar. Then you have a K1. Okay, so now this is different. Now we have K2, so this is different. Okay, so I think the best joint which we can find out is nothing but an inner joint. Okay, so yes, in an inner joint. So yes, I think whenever you get a data set, so you can basically try to perform an inner joint because with the help of an inner joint itself. Okay, so with the help of an inner joint itself, you are able to basically find out. Okay, so you are able to find out that yes. So with the help of an inner joint, you are able to join your data set. Okay, so you are able to basically join your data set where all the values are basically the same. Okay, so where all the columns or maybe where you can join on the basis of maybe some column. Okay, so I think here there is one more attribute is given. Okay, so whenever you get a data set, so you want to join on basically some this thing. Okay, so on. So on means what? So on means on which column, on the basis of which column you want to join. Okay, so definitely there is maybe a data set is present. Okay, so there is maybe a two data set, different data set is given, and maybe a stock data set. Okay, so maybe a stock market data set is given, and then it will basically ask you that yes, you have maybe a two different data set, and then suppose you want to join, you want to merge that two data set. Okay, so you want you can join maybe on the basis of a person ID. Okay, because the IDs are unique and IDs can be given in both the data sets. So you can join on the basis of a stock ID. Okay, so fine, guys. I think this is all about basically a pandas, and maybe if I can show you some another kind of functions, maybe if I check, maybe some another kind of function is available inside a pandas. So let me check it. Okay, so if I can show you. Okay, so there is one more function inside a pandas, and you can perform one more kind of operation with the help of a pandas. So if I can show you, so that is what that is a pivot table. Okay, so a pivot table gives you a very good representation of your data set. So I think you already worked on this data set, so you can easily able to understand basically this pivot table operation. Okay, so pivot table means what? Okay, so pivot table means what? So you are trying to basically, if you are trying to create a table, okay, so you just try to basically what? You are just trying to create a table. Okay, so this is basically a pivot table you are trying to create, and then you just try to pass your data. Okay, so inside this you are trying to pass your data. Okay, and then you are trying to pass the index. So on which index or maybe on which column you are trying, you want to create this table. Okay, you want to create this particular table. Okay, so let me copy this thing in our data frame. Then you can able to understand this thing in much better way. Okay, so if I run this data frame again. Fine. Now I can give a name of the data frame. So data is what? Data is nothing but a title. Now if I show you this table. Yes. So basically what happens is, so you just try to create a table, okay, on the basis of a sex column, and then you can observe that a percentage. Okay, so you can observe a mean value. Okay, so just if I can show you, so so aggregation function. Okay, so this is a function which is available inside a pivot table by default. Okay, so by default, your aggregation function is what? Your aggregation function is mean. Okay, so now you are able to identify that there is a 27.9% females are basically there. Okay, so on an average, okay, so on an average, so the female age is what? Okay, so most of the females is of 28. Okay, so most of the females who trying to travel on that Titanic ship, so their age is what? Their age is 28. Okay, And in the same way, a male is what? So male is 30. Fine. And in the same way, you can check the fair. In the same way, you can check basically fair for a male, and you can check the fair for a female. Then you can basically check the basically a P class and all those things. And yeah, you can make a very beautiful observation in this place. Okay, so this is a kind of analysis. Okay, so I think this kind of I talked about this kind of analysis. Okay, so in an analysis, someone asked you the question. Okay, so how many percent? Okay, so on an average, how many females are survived, and then on an average, how many males are survived. Okay, so now you can give a value. Okay, so on an average, 18% males are survived and a 74% females are survived. Okay, so you can basically write this thing in a markdown. You can write this thing in your analysis report that in comparison to a male. Okay, so in comparison to a male, females are mostly females are survived. Okay, and the basically range is very high. Okay, because 74% females are survived. And if I compare this thing with a male, so just 18.8% males are survived. Means if you round it off, then also it becomes a 19%. Okay, so you can say almost 4 times more. Okay, so almost 4 times more females are survived. Okay, so yes, you can get a very good analysis. Now if I basically try to make this analysis on a P class, because P class analysis is also important. So if I try to make the same analysis on a P class, now if I look at this table, so in which class people are more survived? Okay, so definitely a passenger class one people are maybe a more survived because this is the high class people. So maybe a rescue team is trying to make a rescue for a first class people. Okay, so yes, you can see this kind of observation. So 62% people. Okay, so 62% people in a first passenger class, in a first class. Okay, so 62% people in a first class are able to survive. Okay, that a 47% people. Okay, it's not a 62. It's almost a 63%. Then a second analysis what? So 47.2% people inside second class is able to survive. Okay, then a 24.2% people inside 20 to 4.2% people inside basically third class is able to survive. Okay, so this kind of analysis you can make with the help of a pivot table. And yes, so I think with the help of a pivot table you are making a great analysis. Okay, so you are making a good a very good kind of analysis with the help of a pivot table. Fine guys, so I think yes, this with the help of a pivot table you are able to make a very good analysis. Now, if I show you something else, okay, so yes, you can also create a table in this way also. Maybe if you can consider a two column altogether, okay, so you can take two columns at first time, okay, so in this way, okay, so in this way you can take a two column at one time. Fine. So yeah, it is completely fine. You can take a two column altogether, and I will definitely send you this notebook so that you can make your own permutation combination. Okay, and yes, yes, so this is what I think you are able to understand. This is nothing but a Boolean masking. This is nothing but a masking. Okay, so I'm able to, I want to show only, I want to see only those basically a data set. I want to access only those values, only the values from a data set where a sex is male and the embark is S. Okay, so yes, I can basically see this thing. Okay, so I want to access only those values from a data set where a sex is male and embarked is what? Embarked is S. Fine. And yes, how so this is again an important thing. So how I can basically rename my column. Okay, so suppose if I want to change the name of my column, so yes, with the help of a rename function I can change the name of my column. Okay, so suppose here I just try to change the name of my column and I just try to make it as ABC. Yes, so yes, I'm able to do this thing. Fine, there is no issue. You can do this thing. Definitely there is definitely no issue. Okay, so I think these are basically two concepts which I left, and yes, I'm able to cover that thing: a pivot table and a rename operation. Okay, guys. So I think this is all about the pandas, and I think it takes around maybe 1 hour 30 minutes in the yesterday session, and now 1 hour 20 minutes in a today's session. So yes, Pandas is a basic one of the important concepts. So it is almost about 3 hours we are trying to spend on a Pandas. Okay, and guys, I just want to show you. I just want to make a recommendation, advice for you. So just try to make basically just try to do your permutation combination and try to ask question from a pandas, because I know that it is hard to understand a pandas in just one or two classes. So yes, but it becomes a handy for you if you try to do a practice at home. Okay, so if you try to do a practice at home, and if you try to apply your own permutation combination, so it will definitely help you guys to basically it will definitely help you guys to understand this thing. Okay, then only in a day after tomorrow session, where we are trying to maybe make analysis. Okay, so we are trying to basically work on a data set, basically a real world scenario data set. Okay, and then try to make an analysis from that kind of a data set. So it will then only you can understand that what is going on, what kind of analysis we are trying to do. Okay, in an analysis in an analysis you simply it just you simply make an analysis on a data set which is available, and in analysis you're trying to give answers of some questions. Okay, so you can only give answers of maybe some question if you basically know the basics. Okay, so this pandas and numpy is basically your basics, and definitely like I give you a two analysis over here also. So how many males are survived, how many females are survived. So this question can be asked in an analysis. Okay, so definitely you need a strong knowledge. You need a basically practice, and I think I'm able to cover all the important concepts, all the important functions inside a pandas and a numpy. So now you only need to do a practice. Okay, so if you are able to do the practice, so yes, you guys can make an analysis by your own. Fine. So thank you so much, guys. And maybe if you have any question or any doubt regarding a pandas, so yes, you can ask your doubt or maybe a query. Okay, you can write your query in a chat box, or you can simply raise your hand, and I will unmute you and you can ask your query. Okay, anyone is not having any kind of a query or anything in any doubt? Okay, guys. So, okay, so someone write something in the chat box. Okay, nothing. Sir. Okay, fine, guys. Okay, that is a good thing. But yes, I just take it as advice or take it as a suggestion. So just try to do a practice this thing. Okay, so try to do this practice today itself, because I think this particular notebook is already uploaded. Okay, this particular notebook you can find in a description box of your recording. Okay, so if you can basically do the practice on this particular basically uh, on this particular notebook. Okay, and then I will try to basically create a different notebook. I will try to upload a different notebook, a different drive link. I will try to give you uh, with this lecture recording. Okay, so you can find basically this notebook in yesterday's session recording, and I will give you one more basically data set. Okay, so that your concept becomes more clear, because if you work on a different data sets, so your concept becomes much clear. Okay, so I will try to share you a different data set. Okay, a different notebook and a different data set. Okay, so for on today's session recording. Fine, guys. So thank you so much, and bye bye.